Okay, welcome everyone. So nice to see everyone here to this very special event and this very fascinating topic that we're going to discuss here today. Welcome to the VIA Design School exhibition, the Era 360. My name is Konrad Olsson. I'm the founder and editor-in-chief of Scandinavian Man, and I'll be guiding you through a conversation about fashion and technology and where we are headed in the future. If you haven't had the time to look at the exhibition and tried on the VR glasses, you should definitely do that afterwards. I think it would really make you understand this more. But for now, we're going to talk about this together with some of the people involved to first perhaps understand what it is we're doing here. So I'm sitting here with, I'm standing here now, I'm sitting down with René Foli, Dean of VIA Design, Maria Herholdt Engermann, founder of Mand, or co-founder of Mand, and the two fashion graduates, Nicolai, Ortmann, Nejland, and Marcel, Petranek. Round of applause, right? I'm going to start with you, René. Behind us here is an exhibition made out of fashion, it's garments, but they're also displayed using AR and VR technologies. Why was it important for the school to do this instead of a traditional fashion show?
Well, actually, I think it's our duty as a creative faculty, constantly being curious about the new tomorrow. It is our duty on behalf of the fashion sector, as well as a duty on behalf of the students as well. So, I mean, this is the next generation of the creative people, and so it's very important for us to make it possible to happen. So I think it's a combination of being curious and also have the courage to doing something new that you not especially can see how it will end. I mean, we could have chosen the classic way, of course, making yet another fashion show, but we didn't, and this is the answer.
I understand it was perhaps not easy for the students to adjust to the fact that they were not doing the traditional fashion show that they've been looking forward to.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, in the beginning, maybe some of them were a bit disappointed. It was like, for years and years, you've been looking forward to do this fashion show, and then what is it all about? And but afterwards, I think really the motivation was there, and that is also what it is all about, to be innovative and so on. Being maybe a bit disappointed and maybe can't see the final result in the beginning, but it was worth the journey, I think.
Wonderful. We'll get to the students in a moment, see your reactions and your thoughts on this. But let's cover some of the basics. Maria, you are running Mand, a company that specializes in AR and VR. So for those who maybe are not familiar with the concepts, or maybe think they are but they don't know fully, I'm confused sometimes. What is VR and what is AR?
Well, VR is a short for virtual reality. It's a technology. Usually we use a head mount and you put it on your eyes, and then suddenly you're surrounded in a virtual world 360 degrees. And that's virtual reality. And then augmented reality is another technology. That's like the game that some of you might heard of, Pokemon Go. That was a big hit a couple of years ago in the summer. Every kids were playing it. It's when a virtual object appears in our world. So a digital layer over our physical world. And it's usually you see it through either a phone or an iPad, like we have in our exhibition here. Or also someone is developing glasses that can actually project something in the room with you as well. So VR is a technology where you go into the virtual world surrounded by it, and augmented reality is where the virtual objects come into our world. So that's the difference. Yes.
So talk to me about how this project started for you guys and the collaboration with the school.
Yes, so VIA Design approached us. We're very curious about this new technology and what we could do with it. So our assignment was to generate new ways and to see how these immersive technologies could complement the fashion industry and the traditional showing of fashion. And what is beautiful with VR, I think, is definitely that you can suddenly come into a different world, not limited by boundaries. physical boundaries, and suddenly there you can go into the mind of the designer. It's like stepping into a fashion films. We already know fashion films. They're very beautiful. It sets a mood. VR is a step more. You can actually come into it. You can see the models very close. You can almost get a private showing. Also, for the VR idea, with the whole idea with virtual reality and making films for each student, is also because in a catwalk show, they just walk back and forth. Some of them, the amazing designers, have some cool features in their clothes and functions, and these are much more possible to access and see in virtual reality, because then you can get to see the clothes up close, and they can show the different functionalities.
And what were some of the challenges? I'm curious about how you gave this assignment to the students. From the schools, and maybe one of you can answer. What did you say to the students to do?
You were closest.
Yes, I think we were very excited to start this process with you guys as well, and I think all the designers were very open-minded to this new idea of what this is, and then also our job was to try to explain what are the possibilities with this technology here. Like it's trying to explain to you that this is a chance for you to tell your story around clothes that's not normally accessible either in a catwalk show, and what is on your mind, what have inspired you, and trying to make you hopefully feel included and feel like this was your project as well, and it was just expanding your design universe. I think that was a job.
Marcel, we'll start with you. Were you disappointed not to do a traditional fashion show?
It was in a way a curiosity at the beginning, because this sort of theme of changing the fashion show to something new, what we have never experienced before. It was going at school for some time, and it was some like criticism first, and then the curiosity, and also when we got the task from Anne that we should come up with some sort of idea for the video, and like also link the reference. And we started to Google those VR videos in fashion, and there was none. That was also a step for us, that like, okay, so we clearly don't know what we are gonna do, because there is like no reference of how it could look. We saw a few videos from different fields in fashion, but fashion was just not there. And now when I see the results, it's just amazing how it actually developed from the whole process, and yeah, where it stopped is just great. What we can present right now.
Wonderful. So I think we're seeing your where are your beautiful knitted creations? It's right over here, right?
Yes, this one.
So when starting to do the collection, knowing that you had this sort of digital presentation to work towards, did that change the way you design the clothes in any way, or think about the concept?
I think concept was like stayed as it was. It's just more how we develop the story, the story about the video. Like if we, when you have all of a sudden you have so much space to look at, and you should or you can decide like you whether you want to put the storytelling in sort of like at 180 degrees, or you want to really people to look around in your video and just see them as Maria said, that like from all angles. But I think the collection was the approach for the collection was to make it technological, to make it in a sustainable way, or like this, especially those two things, the sustainability and the technology. How can you pursue that in a collection? And when you once have it, how to embrace it even more for the video.
Nicolai, how about you? How did it change the process, or the way you think about fashion in a way doing it?
And mostly in regards to actually making a movie, because you're also giving up control when it's virtual reality, because you don't decide totally what they're gonna view. So that was really make you approach it in another way. But in regards to the design process, it was based in my core beliefs and what I believe and want to stand by. Because in the end of the day, we have to stand by the whole process, not only the look of it, but how it was made and the whole story about it. So in that regard, it didn't really change my approach to or my design process, at least.
Yeah, you just presented your collection. It's then right behind us here, and you have several other sort of technological aspects to your design. So it feels like you're very susceptible to this new technologies, right?
Yeah, it's based in my natural curiosity for science in general.
We mentioned, I mean, films, because it's important to state, I think, that these are narratives. We create worlds, we take on these headsets, and you're in a world that's essentially a movie. Maria, perhaps you can talk about this. How can a narrative and a film enhance fashion in your mind?
I definitely think a film or a VR experience can add on to the fashion experience in general, a better understanding about the design and the mind of the designer and and I love all of these different films because they're so different, so you can really feel that each designer has a different approach to the narrative in this experience here. So some are working with body diversity, some are working with sustainability, and some other with outdoor. And you really get a feeling of that, and you can understand the mind of the designer, I think, a little better. And also and especially in VR, create some empathy. And storytelling is just a basic gene of us human, I think. So every time there's a story, we pay more attention. We just remember it a little better if it was a story that we liked. We based on stories. So I definitely think it's a valuable add-on for this experience here. Yeah.
Your background is in film. Were you coaching the designers in this direction and helping them do the films and developing the narratives? And
yes, that was our job in this assignment here, for trying to make their vision, and that was for me very beautiful, trying to understand each designer, and hopefully it was okay result for you guys with what we came up with, because our finest job was to try to understand your collection, getting your wishes, and then trying to make that happen in a film, and that was really exciting, I think.
let's go into the AR a little bit, because on the iPads that are in the back here, you are able to see like a three-dimensional image of the model with the total look, and you're able to go very close, look at the garments. You get a very almost tactile feel of it. It looks very beautiful. In your mind, I lost my train of thought here a little bit. I got so carried away. But looking at this, what are the opportunities of using this technology for fashion?
Augmented reality and virtual reality are some very exciting technologies that I definitely think will impact not only the fashion industry, but all industry in general, and the way we communicate in the future. Augmented reality is this digital layer in our physical world. We have this AR exhibition that I really think you should all check out afterwards. And this is a way of showing a fully dressed up models. That's how we used it for this exhibition here. We took all the designers' outfits, dressed them up on a model, and then scanned them into a 3D object that's then suddenly are standing here on this exhibition area here in the virtual world. And we had so many visitors coming by the stands. We are inspiring them even further to think, how can we use this technology not only for showing, but maybe also for the future of buying, retail stores. How can this be how can this be implemented in the future of the fashion experience in general? And there is a lot of opportunities, both because augmented reality is, again, it's like VR. It's not bound by physical boundaries. We can add particles. We can have things coming from the wall suddenly. It can be add to a different kind of fashion, catwalk experience and stuff like for showing clothes. And then we used a technique called photogrammetry. That means that we can scan a real object into a virtual world. This virtual object is then a still pose. There's another technology called volumetric video, and that's definitely the next step, where you can actually film people in real life and then have them, just like the photogrammetry, popping up in the real world everywhere we want to. So that could mean also something that would be important to look into whenever it's moving forward with this technology.
One thing that I thought was very interesting is that you don't need this big expensive equipment to do this today. You could photograph the model with your phone and then from that get the 3D image. Where are we standing in terms of technology? Can everyone use this now, or how accessible is it?
I think you definitely need some 3D knowledge to do it, because if you want a good result. We also had help from outside for some guys who could because the technology is that you take a real object, place it, then you take a lot of normal photos, and as you mentioned, Konrad, it can be just by using your phone, going around it and taking a lot of pictures from every angle. Then you take those pictures and put it into a software called reality capture, and then that software will do the job for you. It will scan everything into a 3D object. But depending on how still the model was standing or anything, there would be some glitches and some extra rough areas that you would then have to go in and edit in the post afterwards.
But theoretically, we could photograph this exhibition, send it to someone half across the world, and they can recreate it on their iPad in Beijing or some other place.
Yeah, you would be able to do that. As with the photogrammetry, it still requires something to stand still. So it will be clearing the area and then doing a lot of pictures all around. And then you can do that, yes, as well. Because it's not only objects or models, it can also be rooms as well. Yes.
Let's talk a little bit more about where we're going. And René, you mentioned this is your duty to do this.
Yeah.
And I think traditionally, the world of fashion and apparel is a very sort of traditional industry in a way. It's got a long history. It's about making physical garments, selling them in physical stores, and etc. And as we all know, we're going through a huge transformation right now. I just came back from a talk in Stockholm last week where we talked about the opportunities for fashion in digital worlds, purely digital worlds, and not even making a physical garments. Where do you see this going, and what's your responsibility as a school in sort of teaching your creatives, where they're supposed to be headed?
Well, honestly, I see it as a potential digital revolution. Focusing on the fashion sector, right? What we do as an institution is, I'm so blessed that in our faculty we have the film and transmedia, we have the fashion designers, we have the animators, and so on. So we really have the platform from which we can develop. And what we do now is more and more we have those students meeting in projects towards the skills and towards talents and so on. And it's fantastic. So in a way, I consider our faculty like a kind of a dating company where we bring talented people together and just wait and watch magic appear, and hopefully they'll fall in love with each other. So I think we have to facilitate the meetings between, so it's not just fashion designers, for instance, just focusing on fashion. It is fashion designers being curious on film and transmedia people, being curious on animation and so on. And from that, I assure you, things will come from via design in the future, that's for sure.
What are you saying, guys? Would you be willing to design clothes only for a digital environment in the future?
Really nice question, but I think in terms of the sort of satisfaction of your collection, it doesn't really matter if it's 3D object which you can actually touch, or if it's just 3D something, But unless you sort of express the creativity and you get the curiosity throughout the process, and you approach the technologies you want to approach, I think then the satisfaction is there, no matter if it's something hanging like this, or it can be standing as a 3D object in nowhere, basically. There's a augmented reality.
What are you saying, Nicolai?
I feel like it doesn't have to be either or. It could be both, like as an extension, also because something is pricey when you have it as a physical garment. Maybe you could do it so also people with lesser available money were able to also have it, at least in the virtual world, where we are more and more built into our daily life with social media and everything. We are more interconnected. So I think it could be an extension of your collection, for instance.
Right. And can we send a message to the brands here? Can we send a message to the industry? What should the industry take away from this, Maria? What do you think they should start? Because these are also many of them very traditional brands working the same way for many decades.
I think that what brands industry professionals can take away from this is being curious about the new technology that's out there. Don't be afraid of it, definitely. It can help you and embrace your brand even more, or the ways you work maybe can be lifted. some are using virtual reality for training. Some are using it for other purposes as well. It's not scary with technology, and it is an important part as we humans develop in general, evolution. So don't be afraid of it. I think is the most important message.
What do you say, René? Do you have, in your dialogue with the industry, are you talking about these issues?
Yeah, I mean, we had, for instance, an information meeting some months ago presenting a new digital design program. There were so many people there. We have courses this spring, and I can see towards the interest that we really got something going here. So yes, we have lots of dialogue right now, and we also develop some new kind of concepts, products that they will be presented for in the future. So I can feel that they also are very curious and know that something is coming.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I want to ask the Marcel and Nicolai again. After doing these 2-minute videos, are you hungry for more? Do you want to do this again?
Oh yeah. Definitely, because we had this opportunity, I think in the 5th semester, with the transmedia program, when we were shooting another video. I was just normal video, not 360, and this was such a huge upgrade. And I'm just also curious where if we could make such a step from that to here, where we could go, further on, like how even more we can develop this. And it's amazing experience. Like I have never seen something, once you see it in the glasses, but then also the whole process of creating, like how sort of what you need to be aware of when you're shooting and you can't be on the set, and it's like everything has to be basically on one shot, and it's just it's very exciting process, I would say. Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning also that one of the values for the designers here and the students is that they get a whole nother type of lookbook to bring with them into the industry. They don't just have these still images or a video from a fashion show. They have something completely new to and that was part of the process, right?
Yeah, that was one of the end goal as well, because obviously you can have a fashion show. That was one of the start approaches. You have a fashion show, and of course it should be glamorous and exciting, but it's only happening that one night. With this film here, hopefully you have some extra to add to your portfolio. You can send it out to people. It can be put online so that you can see around on YouTube, that you can still look around in this film. And also with the augmented reality, if it's accessible for you guys as well afterwards. If you want to come to a meeting, to a client or potential partners in the future, you can just easily pop up a model dressed up already to show your outfit and also bringing the clothes, of course, so they can feel the fabric as well. But it's an extra layer, hopefully, for you guys as well.
I feel like we can talk about this forever, but I also want to make sure that people in the audience before lunch have the opportunity to also take in the exhibition. Thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for sharing your insights.
Yes, thank you.